Okay, everybody, welcome to the Story in Action podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Flint with Story Directive. But Jeremy Murray is my guest today. He's an awesome friend and the owner of Wolfgang. We're going to talk today a little bit about how he started Wolfgang and his background. He has a cool background. I've actually known Jeremy. Man, we met, I think, when I was working at Blindside. That's a snowboard shop in Orem when I was in college. And Jeremy,
I
think
still in college too.
Yeah, Jeremy, you were still in school. Yeah, so we met back then, and both have a love of snowboarding and action sports. And it'll be great to chat with Jeremy today. So Jeremy, go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and anything you'd like to share.
Okay. Jeremy Murray. So, founder of Wolfgang. Initially, I'm a designer, so that was kind of the field that I went into. I was always good at art in high school. Took tons of, those are my favorite classes. I struggled some of the other classes. Definitely more right brain, creative. Just loved drawing and art and stuff. I think my senior year, the professor had Photoshop. This is back in 1996. He got one computer that had Photoshop. We got to start messing around on there. So it was like my first opportunity to kind of do a tiny bit of graphic design my senior year. But most of to that point was just drawing, painting, those kind of things. And then decided that at first I went to UVU, Utah Valley State College, or whatever they call it, the university now. I was a business major. Then I was going to go into marketing and then minor in art because I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do. I wanted to have some kind of art in there, but I thought I'd better go into business because maybe starving artist is not the best way to go. Didn't know what I really wanted to do at that point, so that's the way I went. And then figured out there that I really loved the design and the graphic design more than I liked the marketing side of things, but I really had the passion for design and art. So finished up at Utah State with a Bachelor of Fine Arts there, became a graphic designer, and ended up back in Provo at a company called LogoWorks where they do tons of logos. And while I was there, a lot of my designs were for the skate shops and for a lot of the outdoor industry. And one of our founders, he invested in Skullcandy, Jeff Curl, who also started Stance Socks, which a lot of people know.
Yeah.
So I was working, basically he was one of the second largest shareholders in LogoWorks.
So he was a shareholder in LogoWorks. And what was LogoWorks? Was it just like a graphic design agency?
It was basically like people just needed quick logos, stationery, possibly a website. It was just kind of get like a lot of startups going. Pricing was very interesting. It was almost like online. We had designers all over the world, and we had some in-house that would basically, they'd have 4 designers working on a logo project or whatever, and everybody put in their concepts, and then they pick one and start working on it. So that's kind of what I did. A lot of logos those first couple of years in design, and then I moved up to a senior designer there and started working on websites and other kind of more.
And you were that was all still while you were going to school?
No, that was after school.
Yeah, so you graduated
and then went there.
Did you get a degree in design then, or what was it? Is that what you ended up doing?
Yeah, I got a degree in design and then a minor in marketing. So I just flipped them.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up flipping.
It's funny because when I heard you say I was kind of on the same trajectory in a lot of ways with school. I remember because I got into photography when I was 16. But it was always just kind of like a hobby, and then got into college, and I'm like, I'm going to do business because
that's what makes money.
That's what makes money, right? Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, I'm like, I was going to do business, but then it turns out that I really suck at math. So and there's a lot of math.
There is a lot. Statistics.
A lot of statistics, and there was just a lot of math classes, and I was like, crap, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then that's what I shifted and just did design and. I just got an associate's in art and visual communications from same school. Yeah. So it was but I was
they didn't have a bachelor's actually then. They only had a minor, so that's why I had to flip and go up to Utah State.
Oh, did you?
Because when I flipped to
marketing,
design. They didn't have at that time they didn't have a major.
Oh, really?
Just a minor. So
oh, that's funny.
That changed the school.
Yeah, I know, it's funny. But I remember feeling the same way, I've got to I didn't want to be, no one makes money in photography, and I didn't want to be a starving artist. I remember having those same kind of thoughts going through my head, but yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so that kind of led me down that road. But I mean, it was good because I learned a lot of, I took the high level marketing classes, so I learned a lot of things, and none of the stuff that they taught me there now applies because they were talking about billboards and
Yeah. I mean, this is what, 20 years ago?
Yeah,
and
this is
pre-digital.
So everything they were talking about was Walmart and how Walmart does marketing, which was important at that time, but they were the masters of like marketing at that time.
Yeah.
And basically all that stuff kind of went out the door as we got more.
Yeah.
It's just like the internet and everything got so much, social
totally
media.
Changed everything. For sure. So LogoWorks was right after. So how many years were you doing that?
I did that 3 years.
Okay.
So I was there 3 years. And what happened was one day Jeremy Andrus and Rick Alden came in to visit Jeff Curl. And Rick Alden was the founder of Skullcandy. Okay. Jeremy was the president. Okay. Or vice president.
Of Skullcandy. Yeah. So Skull had started.
Yeah. They walked in, I think they started in 2003. Okay. So this was like 2005. They walked in and were just visiting him as an investor. He said, hey, you should check out this designer's designs. I think, you'd like his stuff. And so he's like, pull up some of your skate shops and snowboard shops and all the designs you're working on. So I just kind of pulled them up some quick stuff. And Rick goes, hey, can I use this kid for moonlighting? As long as he's not doing it here on my time, you can do it after his hours. So that was kind of it. And I started doing freelance design to Skullcandy. So I was doing some of their catalogs and some of their t-shirt designs. And then Kevin Horsbrough, who ended up working for me later and one of the founders of Wolfgang, he was the first designer at Skullcandy. So I got introduced to him. He started giving me projects that, he was doing everything, the headphones, the packaging, everything.
Who did the original logo for Skullcandy?
He got that from somebody else, an agency or a friend. I think a friend owned an agency, and they went through. And from what I heard, that logo actually was not on the board. They showed him all the logos. He wasn't really thrilled with them. And then one of the designers or something said, well, I created one or two others that I didn't really love, but I'll show them to you. And so, but it was that icon of the skull. Yeah. And he's like, I love that skull. Now we just got to figure out the font type with it. So that was kind of the reject one. It was kind of funny, but that was the one that ended up being the one.
I always wondered where that. It's always interesting to know who comes up with those.
Yeah, so
it's a very iconic logo.
Yeah, so neither Kevin and I, and the funny thing is Rick, he gave that guy an Escalade, when we hit, it was right before we went. He ended up hey, I never really paid you that much for the logo. I think it was $1,000 or something. Here, he gave him an Escalade. Oh, it was pretty funny.
That's rad.
That was cool. He rewarded that.
Yeah, that's cool. So then that's how you started doing work with Skullcandy, but you were still full-time at LogoWorks?
Yeah, I was for a couple years, 2005 to 2007. I still was at LogoWorks, but 2007, Skullcandy came calling and said, hey, we desperately need a second designer. Yeah. We want you. We work with you. We like working with you. Everything you're doing, you've worked hard for us on the side. And they were just like, are you ready to come over? And I was kind of worried because Jeff was on the board of LogoWorks, but he was also on the board of Skullcandy. So one day we were snowboarding. I actually went snowboarding with him. And I was like, hey, Skullcandy really wants me, and I really want to go there, but I don't want to make you mad.
Yeah, totally.
And you're obviously invested in both. This seemed like his main gig was LogoWorks. He was there every day. Yeah. And he's like, oh, dude, I'm surprised you a year or two ago. You should have done that sooner. Probably get more shares. So he was like, yeah, I think you should make the jump. It's the right fit. And he goes, let me worry about the rest, because I heard the next board meeting, they're like, we lost one of our senior designers to Skullcandy, and everybody turns and looks at Jeff, and he's like, hey, they made him a better offer, they gave him shares, and he's a better fit for the kid.
Yeah. So that's cool. So what year was that when you switched over to
2007? I came on full time for Skullcandy.
Yeah. Cool. And then you were there all the way through
till they went public, and a little bit after, a year after. I think it was till about 2012-ish or 11, between 2011 and 2012 or something like that. So
yeah, that's cool. I think, and I'll ask you this question, but I mean, what did you Skullcandy is a very iconic now kind of lifestyle brand. Mm-hmm. Just like any other brand, they sell a product, but it's really the lifestyle that they're showcasing. You know what I mean? They're a headphones company. Oh, yeah. But they really, I think they really branched out into a lot of different sports, and they worked with a lot of athletes. What did you learn kind of working there?
Yeah, I think I basically learned the playbook to what Wolfgang was. It's like, take something that's kind of boring, an industry that's very just is what it is, right? It's functional, it's whatever. Like, everybody was wearing black headphones, Panasonic, Bose. I mean, they had great products.
Yeah.
But it was like, there was no brand around those, right? Nobody was like, oh, I run Panasonic or I run Sony. Like, no athletes,
nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
It was like buying a Samsung TV or something, you know, it's just electronics. And, you know, that's really what Skullcandy did is change that. And I mean, we didn't have the best headphones, but you know, compared to Bose and some of these other people and Sony, you know, at that level, we didn't have the business, but they were able to get decent headphones. The Crusher, pretty interesting stuff where it vibrated. Things that kids would like, young people would like. And good thing is at that time, Apple's iPod, like the earbuds and stuff, were not very good. And so everybody would just like quickly throw those away and go buy Skullcandy.
That was before earbuds. They came out with AirPods and like it was just the wired headphones, right?
It was so simple and cheap and like everybody just throw them away.
They used to give them to you when you bought an iPhone. Way back, if you remember that.
Yeah, they just gave them to you for free. It's almost like getting the earbuds on the plane, right?
Yeah,
it's like, hey, use these for a minute, and I threw them away.
Yeah.
So that was how Apple's earbuds were just not that great, and so you know, even Skullcandies were a step up. So kids were just, you know, throwing those away and coming grabbing. You know, that's really where that opportunity popped up, is because they weren't making very good earbuds or headphones at the time.
Yeah, so they kind of fit that gap between like the cheap kind of stuff, but they weren't. You weren't spending $300 or $400 on a pair of headphones.
$29 for earbuds, you know, $50 for a headphone, $50 to the $100.
You know?
And Beats wasn't around then; they kind of followed after us. So there was no $300 Beats headphones at the time. It was just maybe a Sony headphone that might have been $100, $150.
Yeah, that was a comparable one, but it wasn't as cool. So what was your? I mean, I know you started out designing there. Where did you end up there by the time you kind of decided, I guess 2 questions. Where were you at when you decided that it was time to go? And then what was the reason for leaving Skullcandy?
Yeah, so I was there in the beginning. We just did everything. Me and Kevin did the headphones. We did the catalogs. We did the clothing. We did all the marketing. You know, I think first month I was there, they were building their first website. They had a website, but it wasn't selling. And so one of my first jobs was to go find some local guys and work through and actually make a website that could sell headphones online. So it was all so new. You know, people were custom building websites. There was no Shopify. Websites were 20 to 50 grand. So it was a big investment for them to put it in and then have you be able to buy it, you know, right on the website. Buy it direct.
Online,
And then even how were they going to get the people, right? At that time, they were just selling them like Zoomies, all these places. It was just a whole new world to like. But they wanted to have that opportunity that people could buy it if they didn't have a Zoomies or they didn't have a Best Place or, you know, Best Buy.
That was before they were selling them at Best Buy, probably. Even.
Yeah, so the people in different towns, that might have been the only way they could pick one up is order it online. There was no, I don't know, maybe there was Amazon, but it was not the Amazon of today. So did that, but also did a lot of the headphone designs, a lot of the graphics and things like that. And Kevin was just working hard on packaging. I was doing a lot of concepts, and the two of us were just rallying and banging all that stuff out and creating lines without like a PLM. There's no like product guy on top of us telling us what to do and how many headphones in that one and size, you know, what colors, how many colors and all this. We were just doing it all from just like gut check. Me and Kevin. And, you know, as it grew, they started hiring product people. And that's where Todd Finney, our other founder, he was our first kind of like PLM, kind of like a guy that was to come over and like build a line, restructure the line so that I think when Todd always laughs because we had like 29 lowrider headphones, and he's like, "Why do we have 29?" I'm like, "Because we need lots of cool ones. You know, we need one that has a native print. We need one that has like women's fashion. We need one." And he was like, "We got to get this down to about 10. You know, from 30 to 10 because." So he just like restructured the line and he helped us focus and build the line when he came in. But we didn't have all that before that. It was just me and Kevin doing our thing. And so that's where me and Todd met, who is my other founder. The three of us all met at Skullcandy. That's why I bring it up, to kind of bring him in a picture of that. Worked with him for a couple of years. I think he was there 2 years, and then I think they laid him off or something, and he went to somewhere else. He actually ended up going and helping Beats for a little while. And so after, you know, you go public, things start to change in a lot of places.
Yes, that was, so it's 20, when did Skullcandy go public? Was it 2012?
I want to say 2011.
2011, okay.
So we go public.
What was the revenue of Skullcandy at that time?
I want to say we were doing like 300 million
in
sales a year.
So they're selling worldwide at this point.
And I'm not sure exactly what if I remember what they're valued, maybe 600 million or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Came out at $20 a share. Our shares all got split. I remember each share was worth 300 and something, which obviously can't come out on the market. So they split. So my 2,000 shares went to like 20,000 shares.
Oh, yeah. Because that's what they gave you when you came over.
Yeah, because that's what came over. So, they went through all that and the IPO. So that was all interesting to kind of go through that, not knowing anything.
How that works.
Locked out from when earning calls and this and that. You never know when you're going to sell. It was kind of stressful, to be honest. Like, knowing here you have like a bunch of chunk of change and you're just like, do I sell it out now? Do I ride the wave? Do I sell some now? Do I, just all that kind of stuff.
Knowing what to do with those shares.
Yeah. Especially just like young people that have never had shares. I guess that's the thing. At the same time, you're just kind of like, I've never had these, so I guess I'll just make decisions. But I had a financial friend who's like, just sell some every earnings call, good or bad.
Oh.
Because then he's like, you're going to get the upside downside.
Yeah.
But don't just hold, because if you'll ride it to the bottom if it's going bad.
Interesting.
So he just was like, sell. And that's kind of what the philosophy I did. I didn't get my maximum, what I hoped.
Yeah.
But I sold and made good decisions along the way. I just always sold some when they would come out with earnings calls.
Oh, cool. I don't even know anything about that world, actually, so it's funny.
It's a stressful time.
If anybody's listening, I'll take some of your shares. No, that's cool. So anyways, they sell, and then
so my team actually ended up getting laid off. They ended up hiring a guy from DC Shoes. He was so Skullcandy created they had an office over in San Clemente.
Oh, yeah.
And they decided that they were going to move a lot of, their head.
Isn't that where the Stance guy... Who was the Stance guy?
Jeff Curl. So
Jeff was from San Clemente, wasn't he?
He moved there and started Stance, and so that's where they were all out of that San Clemente office.
Yeah.
And also, what's his
name?
So
after they went public, is that when he started Stance? Or was he doing that at the same time?
He kind of started that before the end of that. There was also out there was the Linus Brothers doing their the glove company. I'm trying to think what there was called.
Celtech, yeah.
So they were.
I loved the gloves.
Yeah, they were out of that office. So it was Skullcandy, Celtech, and Stance were all in that office, but Skullcandy had the majority of it and had the most people in there. The rest of guys were all just
So did they moved a lot of people from Park City down there then? Is that what it was?
So what happened is they hired that guy out in California, so he never moved. And at first he was like, he ended up going to Jeremy and said, hey, I'm going to cut all, I was at that time not working on headphones because they had different divisions. I was working more on ads and online and everything. So I got put under this new guy instead of Kevin, who would have kept me and just keep doing headphones and the actual product. But I got put on that, and he basically cut the whole team of 7 or 8 people.
Oh, no way.
And was like, hey, I'm going to just hire people out here in California that are right by me. So, I don't know, that was how it went. And then they said we could come back and get jobs in the other, I could go talk to Kevin and get another job back on the other design team.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was kind of like, things are changing so much. Maybe it's the right time to not, because I think Kevin would have put me back on that team.
Yeah, you would have been back on there, just doing what you were doing before.
Yeah, so I just felt like, you know what, maybe this is God telling me to do something different now.
Yeah.
So I had been there a lot of years. We went public, everything, but there was a lot of changes going on. A lot of people leaving and coming, and you have to hit a lot of numbers and stuff like that. So felt like it was the right time to just go do the next step. And so I went to our friend Tom Lee's.
Oh yeah.
And he picked me up that next week. He was like, dude, I'm gonna you can work for me next week.
Yeah, so we have another friend, Tom Lee, that also had a design agency. He's done a lot of things, but he was the founder of the skate shop that I worked out and went on to
my first project was spacecraft. He was investor at that. Yeah, my first project over there was help do the catalog for spacecraft beanies. That was the next week.
Okay,
I was literally, Skullcandy laid off. He's take a couple days and come over. I need you to work on a catalog.
Oh yeah. So anyways, he's another friend of ours that started a skate shop when we were in high school, grew that, did well, then started his own agency servicing all the brands that we were working with at the skate shop, and then he's now gone on to invest in a lot of real estate, done very well. But he's a good friend of both of ours.
So worked there kind of part-time there. So Tom let me do a deal where I would work there 3 or 4 days a week, and then I could freelance a day or two. So we kind of set up a salary where
because that was at Process then.
Yeah, Process agency. A lot of packaging design there. Learned a lot about packaging because I hadn't really done a lot
That was his kind of main bread and butter there.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had a lot of connections over in China to make custom packaging, so we were doing Nixon headphones packaging. I think I brought in Goal Zero at the time. We redid.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So like, basically, he was also giving me a little revenue share for bringing in clients and stuff like that, and so from the industry. So I did a couple of things like that with him, and then he let me kind of build my freelance on the side with the end of the week. So it was kind of a good gig. I was basically 3 to 4 days a week with him, and then had a couple of days to do your own stuff, to build my own thing. And then he was like, go sell it to trade shows, like anything you bring in, I'll give you a commission on it. So I kind of became a salesman, but like that kind of helped me to go into freelance. I've thought about maybe doing like a design firm at that time, or transitioning, and so that was a good in between, like go sell, go learn how to get clients, bring them in. He was like, hey, we're here to help. So if it's a packaging thing and you can't do it, bring process in. If it's just a logo or whatever,
then
you do it.
Yeah.
So like it was kind of
a partnership.
Partnership there, It was a good way to transition.
How long were you at Process then?
I was only there like a year or two. Okay. It wasn't very long. It was just a short stint.
So where did the idea and concept, I had forgotten that you had worked for Tom at Process, because in my mind, I thought you went from Skullcandy straight to Wolfgang, but there was a little bit of
that was a huge part of my becoming an entrepreneur. Was Tom? Tom, make brands, quit brands,
grow brands, sell brands.
We were doing all of that. I mean, just in a year or two there, I was like learning so much. It was like entrepreneur school watching Tom.
Yeah, like Tom, if you're listening to this, you're the mentor for all of us.
Yeah, he's a mentor. But definitely put my head in that space that, hey, you can build something, you can create something instead of just being a designer.
Yeah, he made you think outside of what you were currently doing. Yeah, which he's really good at doing. So that's what got you in the mindset of, what if I just did my own thing?
Well, I back at Skullcandy, I always thought, I just like how Stans came out with socks. I'm like, my gosh, it seems like everything's been done in action sports, watch companies, sock companies.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything that was like head to toe on a person that didn't have a company.
That there wasn't already a cool brand doing that thing.
And it was like, how do I become like Skullcandy and take headphones that's not cool and be the first to bring something to the market in that space?
Yeah.
And then at that time at Process, I got my dog Raider.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he was a new puppy. I rescued him from this guy that he was at the Air Force Base up in Hillfield. And I guess he got transferred. He just got this dog for like 2-3 weeks, and he's like,
he had to leave.
He had to leave and move, and so he just put him up on KSL. He's like, I got to get rid of this dog so fast, or I got to take it to the pound. And so I rescued him. Really, picked him up, and just basically, I think the guy just said, pay for the shots, like $50. I just got to get rid of this dog.
Yeah,
fast.
I just got to go. Yeah.
Yep, I got to go. So I picked Raider up. All of a sudden, I had this dog, and I'd had dogs as I was a kid, as a family, but I never paid for the collars and leashes or any of that stuff. And so all of a sudden, I was spending the money, right? I was spending $1,500 a year at least or more on collars, leashes, food, everything. I was like, holy cow, there's a lot of money into this dog.
Yeah.
And the light bulb just hit on while I walked into Petco and PetSmart. I was like trying to find something that fit.
Something that you could get behind, that you were excited about.
A brand or something, or graphics. And I walk in there and they're like baby graphics. They're just like clip art. And the brands were like, hey, this is what's that guy's name from Poison? This is like somebody's like line, like Bret Michaels line. And this is Ellen DeGeneres' line.
Yeah.
And like,
they were just like these celebrity lines, but they were cheesy and like not cool. And
there was no brands. And then there was like the house brands for Petco, PetSmart. So what I ended up doing was going over and just buying like a hunting, I just want a camo. So, I ended up just going into Sportsman's Warehouse and buying like a Realtree or something like camo. And then I think I bought a black collar at Petco. Yeah. And mixed them and just said that will work for me.
Yeah.
But the light bulb came on that there was no options for graphics and, really style. Like you're holding that in your hand, and so you're like, I want this to be an extension of my whole kit here when I'm wearing my hat, my shirts, everything. And the light bulb just came on and it was like, hey, I should do what Skullcandy did to headphones, but to the pet world.
Yeah.
So that was instantly the idea. And I remember I pitched it to Tom thinking I had the greatest idea in the world. And Tom's like, well, I think it's cool. And I think there's people there, right? I think you have a market that's not being like serviced, but I can't see selling. He goes, as a shop owner at Blindside, I would not buy collars and leashes and stick them in my store. I just think they'd sit there. Nobody would realize what they are. I'm not a pet store.
Yeah.
But you have that customer, but that's not where they buy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's right. Maybe you're right.
So your thought initially was like, oh, I'll just sell these to all the shops.
Yeah,
all
I'll
the
just
skate,
go to the
snowboard shops.
snowboard shops, outdoor shops. 'Cause
outdoor
I knew
shops.
that, REI and places sold pets. So
Yeah.
There's a couple places that had pet. I thought I could get it into like snowboard shops.
Like different like skateboarding shops, like shops that wouldn't traditionally have pet
Jan's
stuff.
or places up in Park City, different places like snowboard shops or, just they were selling all kinds of sporting goods. I thought, okay, I can get it in there.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the angle. Tom was like, I don't know, that's going to be a hard sell to those guys because they have so much money, a pie to split between all their things. He was giving me realistic.
Yeah.
And it was hard to get it in there because we go and do our first show at Agenda. Like, so we don't go launch in the pet world. I go launch at a skate and surf world trade show. And everybody's like, this is so cool. But I don't have any money for pet. I've never thought about putting
it wasn't on anybody's radar, basically. No. It was just outside of like their traditional
So I was kind of trying
inventory.
to do what Skullcandy did, because before you didn't buy headphones in a skate shop either.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You bought them at an electronics store.
You would go to an electronics store and buy
So I was like, well, Skullcandy did it. Maybe I can push people. If I can build this big enough, maybe I can get the pet category just sitting by the aisle somewhere or something. Yeah. And so we did get it in some shops. I mean, Surfside. Like, there was some shops that saw the opportunity. And I was like, I got that kid.
There's big shops in Orange County that I think, you know what I mean? Like the big surf shops.
But
shops.
Everybody said when the kids would come by, they thought there were belts or lanyards. They just didn't, you had to have like a whole bunch of branding and,
it needed to be identifiable that this was like for your dog.
I remember we got in Industrial, which is kind of like a Zoomies. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, the kids love it, come in and they think they're belts and they want them. And then they find out they're dog stuff and they
don't buy them.
Buy it.
Oh, interesting.
Like, he's like, so if you make belts that look like them as well, I think you're going to do well. Because there's arcade and stuff, a couple other. He's like, I think you could make a rival against those guys. So anyways, took all that information as we were going, and I was like, hey, it's time to fish where there's fish. Let's go to a pet trade show.
Yeah. What year was this, Jeremy?
Let's see, 2014 or 13. 13, I think we did the trade show.
Okay, so that's when you launched the brand.
Launched the brand 2013.
How did you come up with the brand? Okay. Like Wolfgang. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Where that came from. So, I knew what I wanted, I just didn't know what the name was, and I pitched it actually to Todd Finney, I used to work. Yeah. And I said, Todd, I need to make some dog stuff. Can you help me
come up with a name?
And he was like, well, I want to do more. I want to jump in with this with you. I think I want to be a partner. I think this is an awesome idea. So, and Kevin, I had told Kevin, he didn't have a dog at the time. He'd had dogs, but he was kind of like, yeah, I think that's a cool idea. He was busy with some other stuff. So he didn't jump in right then. He's like, no, it's a cool idea. Make it happen. So anyways, me and Todd start going down that road. We were writing coming up with all kinds of names. I think we just had a sheet with like 100 names on it.
Yeah.
And we were like, we got to have something like Skullcandy that's like iconic that people can remember. It can't just be like Pet Paws. It's not going to stand out. Yeah. And, all dogs come from wolves. And I think I have some ancestors that are from Germany. But, I have ancestors all over Europe, like Poland and Norway. You're easily mixed. So, so I was like, I always thought Wolfgang was a cool first name.
Yeah.
Like Carter.
Wolfgang.
Kid. That'd be a cool first name. So I was like, what about Wolfgang? Not 2 words, but just like one word.
Just one word, Wolfgang, yeah. Like the name.
Yeah. And Todd's like, yeah, that's a really cool name. That's like Skullcandy, right? That's something people are going to remember.
Yeah.
And at that time, we added Man and Beast was like, so the reason why we added Man and Beast was our trademark lawyer was like, well, Wolfgang's like Tom, or
it's a
first name. So
he's like,
this is going to be hard to trademark by itself. He's like, you got to add like a tagline or more words to it. And so that's where the Man and Beast, because we thought we could make products for humans and for pets, to kind of like kit it up so your keychain and stuff matched all, your belts matched your collar and leashes and stuff. That was always the idea.
Yeah.
And build a brand. And we didn't know if that would turn into a brand or not, or just be accessories on the website.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that went.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Cool.
Later, Man and Beast, was kind of like, so sometimes, we get different women like, why is it called Man and Beast? I'm like, well, it's kind of like mankind. So we just wanted it. Everybody knew us by Wolfgang, so we just kind of ended up
just dropping that part of it. Did that come with any issues like trademark stuff then or anything?
No, we've re-trademarked just Wolfgang by itself because we were like in like 10 years at that point.
Oh, okay.
So it was not that hard to go get it. Everybody knew us in the pet space at that point.
Oh, okay, cool. So that's how it starts. And then so you start going into you tried doing the surf and action sports shops, surf shops, skate shops, snow shops.
Used all those same reps too, right?
Got
stance reps and all those guys.
You?
Everybody was on board. Everybody's like, this is awesome. But then the problem is all those guys, that's where they sold. They never sold in pet shops.
Yeah.
I'm asking a guy that sells an outdoor and he might go
action
get
sports
to go walk into now create new relationships in his local pet stores. And that was hard for them because they're selling 14 brands. They just want to go to one store and sell the 14 brands or 10 brands. They don't want to go.
They don't want to go to one place that they can only sell one product to.
And I mean, if they had 5, and some of them started picking up. There was a couple that picked up more than one pet. Like, I'm going to go get a food or a treat. If they really got it, they started picking up pet ones.
So they could go in and do that stuff.
When they made that rounds, they would sell.
It became another revenue stream of income for them. But getting them to make that switch was tough.
It was like pushing a rope, man.
Yeah.
They were like, no, I sell like socks and whatever, and if I can get them to buy a Wolfgang, but I'm not going to go into a ton of pet stores. So we got most of our stuff going to the pet trade shows.
So then
one of our reps had the connection with REI, and so he did get that one. He gave that introduction, and REI, they sell pets. So
so that was an easy one.
So that was kind of the one that one of our action sport reps got.
Actually got you guys. Yeah. That's cool. So that was kind of the path, and then you found that actually just going into the pet world was more effective than going into the making it.
Or we did outdoor retailer too. We did good there. Outdoor retail, it was kind of a bridge. Outdoor retailer was like, people are used to buying outdoor stuff in those shops. Like I said, Shills and REI and, just a lot of outdoor shops sell a little bit of pet.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the bridge between a skate shop and then pet. Big box pet is the like outdoor stores, Sportsman's Warehouse, or these kind of like different in between REI, Shills, these outdoor shops. So then there's a lot of chains and different ones that we were getting into. There were like 10-door chains and stuff back east, and so they weren't all big box names, but they were like a sporting goods store, like Al's, like locally. They would pick us up. So somebody like Al's.
So sporting goods stores ended up being a good avenue.
They ended up being the first place that really got us going.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the bridge
between the action sports world and then your traditional pet stores. Yeah.
And that's like a really cool place to buy brands. So they're selling lots of brands. So brands are important. So that was also good because I think at that time, Petco, PetSmart weren't selling any brands, so they were just all house brands mostly. So
you finally kind of figured that out. So let's talk about now a little bit about kind of how you branded it. You came up with the name, you kind of had this thing. What was the process of, what was that story that you wanted to, or that lifestyle? Because, like I said, you're selling a product, but you're actually selling a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
That's really what
you're creating. A lifestyle brand.
You're creating a lifestyle brand. Even though you sell collars and leashes to pets, you're actually selling. I mean, that's one thing I learned with any brand, whether it's a high-end fashion brand or a action sports brand or a pet brand like you guys. What you're actually selling is a lifestyle. That's what people are buying.
Yeah.
Because
right, because they gotta have it function correctly.
Yeah, it's gotta have it, but really they want the name and the brand behind it because it's quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the graphics and
everything like that. But that all goes into. So how did you kind of walk us through kind of like how you envisioned Wolfgang and what you wanted it to become?
We made mood boards that we were getting all these different brands. I actually noticed that brands like Stance and all these guys on their Instagrams the dogs were in there, but they weren't wearing a brand, right? They were just kind of wearing a general collar. So you were seeing all these brands, street brands. I remember there was I think LRG or somebody had like a wolf dog and stuff in their like everybody likes dogs. And so I mean, that was another thing when I was at Skullcandy, all these snowboarders were like, can I have my dog? Dogs? Yeah, and they're like, can I have it in my ad?
Oh,
no way. I remember
way.
Justin Benny had 2 pit bulls in his ad.
Oh, yeah.
So that was another reason I knew I was creating it for the right people.
Yeah.
That was kind of tell their stories, right? Like just because Skullcandy was literally putting a headphone on Justin Benny, but his dogs are sitting there with him and not telling that story. So I started telling that story of like the connection between Justin and his dogs. Why he's he's tattooing a dog on his arm. Not Skullcandy, but he's putting a dog, so it's that important to him. So starting to tell their stories and their relationships with their dogs and how important they meant to him.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big part of and then we just started building like an ambassador team, like snowboarders, skateboarders. But then outside of that, we were thinking like Skullcandy, we can have country, we can have, Ken Block ended up being one of the hugest ambassadors for us that kind of bridged, racing and action sports.
Yeah.
he had his Huskies and he loved it, right? Brought it up to him. He was like, he invested a little bit into us and was
cool.
like, guys, I think you got some here. Like, I love my dogs, and we've been missing something like this brand. He saw the vision right off the bat and was, interested in helping.
So that was the story, though, just that relationship between people and their pets.
And doing lots of stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
Ken Block's out there snowboarding and mountain biking with his dogs and going on hikes and exercise. And dogs a lot of time help us get out so much and do more activities than we would. They say if you have a dog, you live longer because you're walking them, doing stuff.
Yeah.
Versus...
That's interesting.
Well, probably a bigger dog, right? Little dog, you might have
yeah.
An active dog.
No, totally.
Make you more active.
No, it's funny because we just got a dog a year ago. And that was the first time we've had a dog. I grew up with dogs, but we just barely got a dog about a year ago. And it's true, like, you got to exercise the dog. You got to, like, get him out. And it's like, I have no problem. I love going outside, so it's not a big deal to me. But, like, I can see how that's a motivating factor for people that wouldn't generally want to go out and walk their dog when it's snowing. But you got to get the dog out.
He's got to get his exercise or he's going to tear up your house.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's cool.
No, that's kind
of... That was the overarching story you wanted to tell with
people and their stories, those ambassadors, those people that I serviced at Skullcandy tell their stories of their pets and start to build a brand around that. And that was kind of the whole, backstory of just, I felt like their whole, it was so funny because I'd see some guy running something down and then like maybe his wife bought like some pink leash or something.
Yeah.
You'd see him walking down the street and I was just laughing because like, he didn't buy it.
Yeah, no.
But I was just like, that was
what
the family leash or whatever. So I just felt like people wanted an extension, like their watches or whatever, to be holding on to that and connect to their dogs. And it felt like people would say, oh, my dog loves the collar, that he loves this graphic or whatever. And you're like, it's just funny because the more they love it, but they would say, no, he feels good about it, like his camo or his, whatever the graphics were. He loves the native print or something like that or something.
Yeah, no. So, that's cool. So I mean, that's the cool thing about Wolfgang, I think, is you have great designs. You have a great brand. Talk a little bit about how you went about, so you're going to trade shows. Talk about what visuals were you using and how did you go about creating the visual branding around that?
Yeah. That was huge for like showing people what we were different. Our booth looks so different than all the booths at the pet show.
Yeah.
I mean, we stuck out like a sore thumb. Like,
yeah, but that's what you wanted.
But that's what Skullcandy did too at the electronic show. It's like, oh man, those guys are the ruckus, whatever. Yeah. The pet industry is a lot of like khaki pants, like polos and everything, like, just business casual attire. And here we are looking like a bunch of guys that are ready to go like skate or surf or
totally,
with the haircuts and the dress and the shirts and everything. And people would walk up and just be like, that's cool, I got that customer, and so I need something like that. And Todd would say that everybody would say, I can come around here, I can find everything girly, because there was rhinestones and everything all over the pet stuff. But they're like, I can't find not girly. Yeah. And that's really
it's like some masculine kind of stuff that like guys would be pumped on.
But even girls that just didn't want rhinestones all over their collars, they just wanted like a print or something. Yeah. So that not girly is like the answer. They loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
But there was imagery of like, somebody skateboarding with their dog, somebody, it was at the beginning we didn't have videos. We ended up putting a video on the booth, but at the beginning it was just all these big photos of like a guy skateboarding, a guy snowboarding, or a guy just walking, running in the running in the mountains with his dog, camping with his dog. Those are the kind of things that we were showing the imagery around, and people got it immediately because they saw the prints and then they saw what the people were like that were running the brand, and so it's just like an instant. That's what that brand.
But it's an active brand. Yeah, it wasn't. You weren't showing people sitting on the couch or whatever. Yeah. They were out doing stuff with their dogs,
most of
right?
the stuff they were doing. I mean, occasionally there'd be somebody in a street or something.
Yeah.
But we weren't showing them just like watching TV with their dog.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
They're all doing stuff with their dogs. They're active. And that's like our new tagline now is Adventure Unleashed. Like
cool.
It should be like out there getting after it, doing stuff with your dog, having fun. And, that's really how we found even distributors. Like our one Japanese distributor, he was just like, that was me. I was growing up with dogs running. They were like my best little buddies on all my adventures. And so that's why we really tackled that word adventure. Because we feel like everything can be an adventure with your dog, whether it's at the dog park or if it's like a full-on camping adventure or whatever. Like, you're doing something with your dog.
Yeah. So a couple little things, and then I'll have you give some advice to people in your situation. But how are you getting? Did you have an in-house guy come in? Did you hire somebody in-house? Did you just use freelancers? How are you getting that imagery and that? And then talk a little bit about when you could start leveraging video the way you wanted to or the way you do now.
Yeah, so like in the beginning, obviously, we used our connections with our freelancers and stuff. I think our first photo shoot was with Kwang Lee, who was one of our photographers.
It's from Skullcandy.
Yeah, Skullcandy. Had him shoot some stuff the first, and then Dave Taylor, who works for us now, he shot a lot of stuff. You've shot some stuff.
Yeah.
Nate has shot a lot of product for us. So yeah, just a bunch of our friends, especially, with connections with Tom and everybody. Just used our connections and those freelancers, and all those guys have been great to, help me capture and envision what we had. And so a lot of times we weren't hiring a ton of like models. We were just getting our friends that had dogs and going that we, had that right lifestyle and had that right look, and then we would just go shoot them. So it was a lot of just buddies and friends, and like, hey, I'll give you some product.
Well, and you had some. I mean, you had some good connections through Skullcandy, right? So you did have some athletes. Yeah. So Ken Block, I think you said, was like a big one. Anybody that
we had Pat Morse as snowboarder on our team. Like we had Jeremy Jones.
Yeah.
We shot some stuff with him. Skateboarders, we had, drawing a blank right now.
Oh, you're good.
We had skiers. We had Julian Carr. We had
a lot of
Eric Porter mountain biking.
Yeah.
We had just like so many of these athletes and stuff that
you could tap into. That they all had audiences that you could leverage, so that was a good way to
everything.
Quickly get what you guys are doing out, which is cool.
A lot of those guys were in the early photo shoots. Like I said, we weren't really like going hiring models. We're just getting people, so.
Well, and I think that does two things. Like I said, like you're tapping into like a very authentic market, and then you also are tapping into people that have big followings already, right? So like
Corey Duffel was the skateboarder I was trying to think.
Oh yeah, Corey.
He had two big
but they all fit the exact demographic of what you were going for. So it was just it was an easy fit. Right? Yeah, it was very natural. When were you able to start leveraging video more?
So video came up. A lot of the ads were just like photos. It was
ads,
grab Instagram, everything photo. Then video started changing on social media and really grabbing. But we realized that YouTube and stuff, you had to make videos.
Yeah,
it was tell a story. And so I think one of our first real big productions was Ken Block stuff. Telling his story with his dogs. Also Loki the wolf dog was another really big one. One of the first ones we really made a big video on, because he had 1 million followers. I think he has 2 million followers.
Oh, no way.
Still alive. But yeah, so that was another big one. Just like showcase those stories with video, and then we started doing that with artists that were drawing the graphics,
the actual designs.
We'd show them doing drawings and everything and tell their stories. So it just the video became more of like showing. That was so cool to see like a designer out there in San Clemente or like Zach Crawford like drawing and at his house and doing all those kind of things.
Well, and that's
shows it wasn't just like clip art. It was showing like there was guys.
There was actually the
art.
Well, and that's what I always tell clients is like there's nothing more authentic for brands than to leverage the power of storytelling. And that's because it puts, just like you're saying, it puts a name or a person to a product, or it puts it's the people behind the brands. And all of a sudden, it's not just a brand, it's like, oh, this is Jeremy. And this is, these are people that have created these brands that I really like and I want to support. And I think that's much more powerful now, especially because people are looking for authenticity, right? Yeah. It's interesting. This would go on a whole tangent about AI, but like it'll be interesting. But there's been pushback from from engagement and from things that just are inauthentic, right? You keep scrolling, you're not getting engaged. But when people find an engaging story, then they'll engage with it and they want to be a part of that. And so I think Wolfgang has done a great job of tapping into that. And it all stemmed from like a lot of those connections you had, but like you've done a great job with that.
Yeah, we didn't read. The Playbook was there at Skullcandy and Stance and all these places. Like, dude, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm just gonna take what they did and apply it to an industry that wasn't doing it. Yeah. So they were successful and made a lot of money that way. So they just took their model and ran with it. And a lot of it is getting those ambassadors and those influencers telling their stories, because that's what all those brands are about. So it was a big part of like building what we have today. Yeah. So. No, that's cool. I guess a couple final questions. What was like the heart? I mean, you kind of talked about
but you talked about that, how hard it was to go from like the action sports world to the pet world, and kind of getting that. What was the hardest challenge for you in creating what you've done with Wolfgang?
I think the hardest is, I mean, like social media running, because we were a lot direct to consumer. Because of that whole, the customer couldn't just walk into a skate shop, so I had to start finding them in their house, basically.
Yeah.
And on their social media, I had to put this product in front of them on their phone. And so, you know, ads worked really well at first. You know, the ups and downs with Facebook,
like
and
Facebook and
all that stuff,
Instagram,
really good returns
Yeah.
in the beginning. And then COVID was great, and then iOS 14, the privacy and stuff, the way they were tracking just changed everything. Everything got so much harder that all the the ad companies just raised their prices so much. They got so expensive.
Got really expensive. That's when ads got really expensive. And you would burn through money super fast.
Oh, yeah. We were spending, you know, crazy amounts, like up to 70 to 80 grand a month on advertising. You know, getting an okay return, but it just diminished over the years as those
you were just watching the results get lower and the spend
because
go
they were
up.
just taking more out. Like they did. I think, you know, Amazon and Facebook just learned like how much they could squeeze on those advertisings to where we would still run ads. It was still worth it, but they basically, our profits were diminishing. Yeah. And so that was kind of, but one of the things that we did right was I did go into the, you know, a lot of these people would just swing, like with COVID, everybody went to online. Yeah. But if you were in retail, you were hurt so bad, you know, because now stores weren't open. And I'm just glad that at that time we were like, we called it like, we had on a table, we had all the legs. We had Amazon, we had store, we had retail, we had international.
You had brick and mortar, retail,
and then we had direct to consumer. And so we had all these legs. So when one would go strong and the other one would go weaker, there was a problem. We would lean in the other way. Yeah. So we've shifted a lot. Like, okay, online's getting harder. We gotta lean harder into wholesale and get some more accounts. And you know, we always wanted more wholesale accounts, but like we would focus harder our efforts more at trade shows when, you know, put some of that money there, depending on what was going on in the world. Yeah, but that's been the biggest challenge. That's probably been the biggest challenge is just that marketing, fluctuating, where to put it, right? To put it online, in the store, you know. But even on store, you only get so many tests and opportunities. If it doesn't do well, you're out. You lose a client or whatever, you know. So it's not like the stores is absolutely the answer. Cause
I mean, I think, that's something that we've noticed.
They get a different buyer, and now that buyer's not as stoked as the one before, and now they got their friend's brand or something.
And I think that's something that I've noticed over my career. You know, as I started out as a stills guy, and you would, you know, businesses used to just do like one or two big shoots a year, and then they would be able to use that imagery for a whole year of marketing. But that just doesn't work anymore. And so, and because there's so many channels and so many ways that you can market your business, it gets overwhelming for a small business owner or even bigger businesses like you guys, like where you have a global brand, but it's still a challenge to know where to spend that, allocate the funds, because it's not just the funds in ad spend, it's also the investing in the content creation part of it. And how do you balance all that out without spending, you know, $500,000 a year on new content? You know,
that's the hardest part too right now is like everybody's saying go get influencers, right? Go get creators. And although those are great because it's word of mouth, basically you're giving them product or they're trying and they're out there, but they're telling their story in their way. And you don't always know who they are, what their story is. And so it's hard because you're just kind of letting them ride and tell. It's fine. They're telling their audiences their story about their pet. How much better is when we can like storyboard a whole thing about, you know, Ken Block or whatever and spend.
There's so much more powerful.
There's so much more powerful when I can tell a whole story and help that creator write out their story and video it and capture all that versus them just opening up a package and say, oh, I love these prints, because that's all they'll do. They won't go. These creators are not like telling their life stories. They're not like out there creating videos saying, me and my dog do this and this and this. Well, they're just open. They're kind of following a model that says like, open this and talk about what I like about it. And the goods, you know, and that's fine, but it's not telling a story. Right?
And also, I think that, and you know, I think there's going to be I think what's happening too is like, going back to the authenticity thing.
Well, AI, you can just hire an avatar person and they look real and they can say, oh, I opened this and whatever.
So cool. So people, I think that with AI, with the advent of AI, I think just with influencers in general, I think people have realized that they're getting paid to do all this stuff, and they can't endorse. It's like, my wife was saying the other day, she's like, these influencers will love this skincare line one week, and then the next week it's a new skincare line, and the next week it's a new skin line, because they got to keep money coming in, and so but it becomes very inauthentic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those guys are like creators. Those guys are influencers. Yeah. They're influencers trying to influence people. But I think ambassadors are different. Like they ride or die with your brand. Yeah, they're totally. Like, no, I only run that. Like, you could pay me whatever, and I'm only going to run Wolfgang. Yeah, that's just the type of person. Cool. Yeah. And you think about that in anything like snowboarding or whatever. It's like, no, I ride this brand. Yeah.
They're the ambassador for that snowboard brand. They're not repping 20 different brands.
But that's what the creators are kind of doing, like you said. They might have 10 different pet things. And so that's why I don't think they're as strong. I mean, they're important, but they're not as important for the brand to be storytelling. You just let them do their thing.
Yeah. No, that's cool. No, that's great. Well, just to kind of wrap things up, what advice would you give, this audience specifically is, other business owners, people that are trying to market and brand their businesses? What advice would you give them about how to leverage kind of in the marketing environment that we're in right now? What have you found most effective, and what do you feel like is any advice that you could give to the audience?
Yeah, I would say you just got to be different too, right? You got to you got to stand out. So telling those stories, telling that imagery and everything, you just got to create something that, people, that just can't be so everybody can create. That's what a lot of people solve a problem, right? I had a problem that didn't have the right designs and stuff and the right brand, and then solve that problem, and then keep giving a reason to buy, right? Add more products, build all that stuff up. I mean, that's what we're doing now with Wolfgang. We're going to have, lines of toys and all these kind of different things coming down the road.
Cool.
Other pet products that are going to be coming, and So I think you find problems where they're at, and then you solve those problems, and then push it out, But it's got to have that lifestyle part of it, You're building a brand.
Not pushing out something generic, but making something that's unique, authentic, that people want to be associated with, right? Like, I
think if you stay true to that stuff, then your brand's gonna last. Because if you're just like a one-hit, wonder on some product or something, it's gonna come. Might have a little bit of, buzz for a little bit, and then it's gone. So you have to build something that's sustainable for the long. I just think 12 years, like we're at, 12 years is a long time. But it could be, brands live up to 100 years or longer. You see all these things. But, they go in different cycles, too. So, just staying relevant. But, there's 100-year-old brands like Filson or, somebody that's still cool.
Yeah,
right? They're still totally. And they're still just telling their story. They don't vary from what they are or, whoever they are. They just stay true to what their roots are. And I think if you don't chase every little fad on that kind of thing as a brand, you're going to be better off. And
where you get in trouble is when you're trying to appeal to too many people, right?
Yeah.
Like, own who you are and who you service and who you're trying to take care of.
Yeah, and build more products for them, and just keeping, ask those customers, do surveys and stuff like, what do you guys want next from us? What do you want to see? What's missing in the markets?
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else you want to talk about, Jeremy?
I think that's about it. That's the story of
Wolfgang. How can people learn more about Wolfgang?
Our website's wolfgangusa.com. That's, go there, follow us on Instagram. We tell a lot of stories and things like that. YouTube, we got a lot of cool videos on past of artists and things like that on YouTube. Find us in those social media places.
What types of products are you guys doing right now then?
Well, we're starting to build more like the next generation of our products. Collar leash was the main thing, but now we're going to go down to have rope leashes and different new packs. Different harnesses, different elevate everything, and then add more product categories to the brand. So that's what you're going to be seeing next from Wolfgang, is a lot of new stuff over the next couple of years.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Jeremy. And go check out Wolfgang stuff if you've got a dog. Their stuff's awesome. And they have really good custom prints, really well designed, as you know from Jeremy's background. He wanted to make something that was cool and authentic, and I don't think there's anything else that comes close to it in the pet world, really. So I think you guys are doing great.
Kind of our own unique thing. There's different outdoor focused brands or whatever, but that kind of bridge that lifestyle, connection with the outdoors and with being active. Like I said, for us, being active can also just be in people in the urban parts
Yeah,
that are walking
totally.
their dogs to parks. It doesn't always have to be on a mountain or
Yeah, totally.
river or somewhere. So
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Jeremy. It was
Cool.
awesome chatting with you.
Yeah,
And go check out Jeremy's stuff. Go check out Wolfgang. They're great. And thanks for your time, Jeremy.
thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
See ya.